Ah, wait, did it get on my mustache?
Thank you so much. That was really great.
You're welcome, guys.
Must be delicious, I'm sure. This time last year, we partnered with Manatoni Steelworks to provide cocktails at our annual fundraising event. So soon we'll be reunited, I hope, for a big in-person event. And let's give them a round of applause for keeping Philadelphia hydrated for the last 6 months. It's a very important job.
Thank you guys for coming out, and I can't wait to see everyone's face for real at our bar. Hopefully soon.
So now that we are settled in, we are going to make our way to the first gallery, which is over in Collingswood, Galerie Marie, only about 10 minutes or so from Center City, depending where you are, maybe even less. And Kimberly Camp, the owner, is going to be talking about some of the international works she has there and also her studio work in handmade dolls. Earlier this year, Camp received the Award of Excellence during the American Craft Council Baltimore show, and her work was recently selected to be on view in the Clay Studio 2020 National Exhibition. Hi, Kimberly, how are you tonight?
Hi, Layla. Hi, everybody.
I'm going to share my screen and take care of her PowerPoint. So I'm going to let her start talking while I get that set up.
Yes, absolutely. I'm so honored to be here and really great to be part of Philadelphia's First Friday, especially since we are less than 10 minutes from coming across the bridge and 3 blocks from the Collingswood Patco station. So very easy to find us. So the gallery is located on Haddon Avenue in Collingswood, and we have a variety of things here. And as of tomorrow, the new restaurants are all going to be, seating again. I have about 200 different artists from around the world in the gallery, some named, some not, which is unfortunate because sometimes craft artists don't get their fair due. What I try to show people is that it's okay to buy handmade things. And I have a variety of different price points, a variety of different types of things, as well as some artifacts and things that I either find from my own personal collection or things that I might discover at auction, or who knows where they come from. We have jewelry, we have books, we have shawls and scarves, and we even have magic wands, because at one point this place used to be a metaphysical store. And so we have a lot of things, a little bit something for everybody. It's a very non-traditional gallery. We don't do monthly shows. We put things up on the wall, people come in and they buy something, we take it down and we hang something else back up. I also have some consignment pieces from some art collectors who are trying to downsize their collection, so you never really know what you're going to find. The gallery's open from 11 a.m. until 6, Wednesday through Saturday, and then 11 to 5 on Sundays. Parking is only 50 cents an hour in Collingswood, and there's really great restaurants here. Once the restaurants start seating indoors, which I believe is supposed to start tomorrow, we'll be extending our evening hours so that it will be more convenient for you to come. Here you see some of the many things I have, works from India, Italy, Uzbekistan, Kazakhstan, Peru, Mexico, France, you name it, we have it. And I also have my own paintings in the gallery. I started working as an artist over 50 years ago. It always makes me feel ancient when I say that. I started out as a painter, and I still paint. I sold my work in exhibitions around the country, and a few international ones also. And then I also have the dolls in the gallery. And I started making the dolls, I think it was 1983 that we started making the dolls. Initially, they were called Brown Babies. They then changed to Kimkins, and they were soft sculpture, one-of-a-kind pieces. You see some more shots of the inside of the gallery here, and some of the things, one of my paintings in the background there. And I also have things that are a little unexpected because I like to say, an interesting sense of humor. So these are the Kimkins dolls that I started making when I first started out. I used to sell them at gift shops and craft stores up and down the East Coast. Even sold them at JCPenney's for some time in the Market Street in the gallery. And then I started sewing leather. My mother had gotten sick. She was in the hospital for an extended period of time. And I grabbed a leather coat one day, needle and thread, and started sewing leather. I love the way that the leather responds to molding and making it look like skin. And then I started continuing in 1989 to really dig a little deeper. I use a lot of clay bodies. I use paper clay, I use stoneware, porcelain, polymer clays. I also use textiles and fabrics, leather and suede. And as you can see, the subject matter of my dolls wanders widely. I just love to have fun with them. And so I make what I feel like I want to make, period, end of story. There's no real consistency. However, just last year, I started a new series called my Immigration Series because I've been concerned about the attitudes we have towards immigration, and 25% of the continent of Africa is now banned from coming to the United States. So I started the Immigration Series to try and call attention to patterns, colors, textures, beads, all of those things that make the culture of this country rich and diverse. And as you can see, sometimes I have a lot of fun. This is one doll that I actually didn't make the doll body. It actually is a porcelain doll that I outfitted. I call her Caradwin, and she is a warrior princess. And then this one, which all I can say is he didn't start out with that body, and that head didn't start out that way, but it just happened. And so a lot of times I let the heads tell me what they want to do and what they want to be. This is my pangolin. A lot of people mistake her for an aardvark or an anteater. She's rather large, and she's made of paper clay, polymer clay, cork, painted canvas, onyx, acrylic paint. She's about 3 feet long, so pretty big. And this is my crone, who actually one of the older pieces that's been in numerous museum shows around the country. She's hand-sewn velvet with polymer clay and posable legs. I love the way she crosses her legs so daintily as she sits in her rocking chair. And then this is one of the new pieces that I premiered at the craft show in Baltimore. This is Oshun, which is part of the Yoruba pantheon of the Orishas. And so this is a poured porcelain piece. I created the masters, sent them to have professional molds made. This one outfitted in Malian mud cloth. These dolls are about 32 inches high. They're both male and female. And again, you look at the richness of the textures and patterns of the fabrics, the beads. This one, a smaller one, is about 18 inches high. I also have male and female dolls in this series. And I hope to continue to do more and more of these as time goes on. The craft show was the first time that I really entered one in decades. And I was so honored that they allowed me to participate in this first show. You could have blown me over completely when they came in and said that I had won one of 5 awards of excellence for the work. And I'll be forever grateful. This is another one of the couples that I've done as part of that series. The fabric here is a hand-screen print that comes from Ghana that I collected many, many years ago and still hung on to because it's such a beautiful pattern and so unique. This is a copy of my booth at the craft show, and you see my little award down there, but it was pretty populated. I had a lot of things for people to look at. I always try to have a variety of things that show my sense of humor, my sense of commitment, my interest in humans and culture, and all the things that I've really learned to love from traveling all over the world and collecting beads and fabric and all kinds of things. So here's the gallery. Our address is here, our phone number, and our email address, our hours as well. We will be extending hours as the restaurants begin to open. But I hope that many of you will venture across the bridge. Trust me, there's no concertina wire across the Ben Franklin Bridge. It's okay to come to New Jersey. And I really look forward to seeing you all here. I think it'll be really great. Thank you, Layla.
Thank you, Kimberly. There are so many compliments in the chat. Billy Barron says, fabulous. Heather Holiday, love your work so much. Incredible work from Catherine. Everyone can continue to put questions and comments in the chat, and Kimberly's going to be here with us. Thank you so much for sharing your work with us tonight. I loved seeing the display at the American Craft Council because it showed their scale and what they look like all together. So it's really wonderful you were able to participate in that show before everything started to change course.
Oh, no.
I'm going to introduce next the Michener Art Museum. I'm so pleased to be partnering with them for the first time. Laura Igo is here, their curator of American art, who is going to be talking about rising tides, contemporary art, and the ecology of water. She is here with Margarita Hagen, one of the participating artists that has a dynamic installation of ceramics.
Hello. Hello.
Oh, great. We can hear you, Margarita. Hi, everybody. I'm so thrilled to be here. Thank you, Layla, for hosting this, and what wonderful work, Kimberly, too. That was really exciting. It's wonderful to see what's going on in the area right now. So let me share my screen. So I am the curator of American art at the Michener Art Museum in Doylestown. Not quite as close as Collingswood, but it makes for a really nice day trip, I have to say. And I'm going to be talking today about rising tides, contemporary art, and the ecology of water, which it just opened on July 20th when the museum itself reopened following the pandemic, and it's going to be on view, well, following the pandemic, it's still ongoing, but we're reopened. But it's going to be on view until January 10th, 2021. And this exhibition celebrates the 50th anniversary of Earth Day, which happened in April when the exhibition was initially supposed to be open. It features the work of 7 contemporary artists from the Greater Delaware Valley region who provide new perspectives on the shifting forms, topographies, and ecosystems of water. So the artists include Emily Brown, Diane Burko, Janet Filomeno, Margarita Hagen, Stacy Levy, Pat Martin, and Paula Winokur. All of these artists also identify as women, and the Michener is featuring women artists in all of its exhibitions this fall to celebrate the centennial of women's suffrage. So it's a very timely exhibition celebrating these 2 important anniversaries. Artists, as you can see, these artists work across a variety of media. So there's painting, drawing, sculpture, ceramic, and site-specific installation. And I'm just going to show you a few installation shots of the exhibition. It celebrates, the exhibition as a whole, celebrates the power of art to visualize natural beauty, ecological crisis, and global change. And it inspires us to take action towards a more environmentally sustainable future. I really believe it's the perfect exhibition to welcome visitors back to our galleries now that we've reopened. It's a very spacious and airy exhibition. There's lots of room to kind of gather and admire the art. The works in this exhibition really encourage us also to think very deeply about the human impact, our human impact on the planet. But they're also, I would say, hopeful and even exuberant in their celebration of the natural beauty that surrounds us. And you'll hear about that more when Margarita Hagen talks about her work. I also wanted to take a little bit of time to spotlight Paula Winokur's work in the exhibition because I know she's well known in the local craft community. She's a ceramic artist and sculptor who passed away in 2018, but we're absolutely thrilled to have her work included in the exhibition, and it just, given her interest in climate change, it just feels like the right space to be exhibiting these pieces. Some of you may know that Winokur began experimenting with porcelain in the 1970s, and she used this material, which we traditionally think of being used to make these small, very delicate, precious objects, but she's used it to create these large-scale sculptures. And you'll see on the bottom right, we have global warnings, one of the pieces that's in the corner of our exhibition space. And this was the first piece that Winokur made in response to climate change after viewing calving and receding glaciers in Alaska and Iceland. So each globe is inscribed with a message about how humans impact the environment. And these globes, as you can see, are very roughly textured and in some places appear almost as if they're splitting open, conveying this irreversible damage that is wrought by humans over time. And shattered ice, which is in the top right corner of the screen, also kind of demonstrates the wide range of textures that Winokur was able to achieve in porcelain, which is really astounding, as this material mimics broken splinters of ice. So you can purchase time tickets for Rising Tides on the Michener's website, and also keep an eye out online on our website and social media for related virtual programs this fall. We have a really wonderful lineup of artist talks and other programs for children and adults. So please stay tuned. And I'm going to turn it over now to Margarita, who's going to talk more about her really amazing work in the exhibition.
Thank you. Thank you all for being here tonight and joining us. And thank you, Laura. What we're looking at is my work in the exhibit, and I have 7 sculptures on pedestals and the large installation in the back. But I want to just start with the pieces on the pedestals. The one on the left was inspired from a trip I had to Cuba, and off of the coast of southern coast of Cuba. Cayo Blanco is off of Trinidad, and I was snorkeling there. A lot of my work is inspired from the moments that I get the rare trips to get out and get in the water, and also my work with scientists and my lifelong research and absolute passion and love for the environment and our connection with it. So that's called Cayo Blanco Daydreaming. It's a abstraction of a brain coral. These works are all abstract works. They're all hand-built ceramic. The works on the right, in the case, the 3, they're from my Grow series. And the one on the right is called Frusto Flower, and it's inspired. This one is a new venture in my Grow series that incorporates the architecture of diatoms. These are microorganisms in our ocean. They also are in freshwater, and the moisture in our soil, they're responsible for more than 1/4 of the oxygen for our entire planet. Okay. These are, the piece on the left is called Perpetual Lophelia pertusa. It was inspired by Diane Burko, and I went to visit Dr. Eric Cordes and Alexis Weinig in Philadelphia's temple, his labs. They had just come back from discovering the largest discovery. There's a lot we don't know, but the largest discovered deep sea coral. Most people don't even know the greatest amount of coral on our planet are actually deep sea, so far below the sunlight's reach. They are like, this one is like a branching sea anemone, and it's like an infinity piece, and it's perpetual because this is a deep vow and a deep intention for these to keep thriving. These things take maybe, it's 100 miles long, and it's off of this South Carolina. The largest reef prior to this was off of Norway. It was only 21 miles. This was an epic discovery, and because Eric found this, it helped to stop the drilling that was scheduled to go right in there. It would have killed all this coral. The piece on the right is called Daughter Cells, and this is inspired by the way that many asexual microorganisms reproduce asexually is called binary fission, but the new cell is called a daughter cell. And this one is called Daughter Cells. It's about growth and thriving. And it's inspired by Radiolarian. They've been around for 540 million years. They are a marine microorganism, and they're all a part of our primary producers. And our ocean is, water is life, and this show is about water, and we have such a precious planet, the blue planet, because of our oceans. So this is a great deep bow to our ocean that provides every other breath that we breathe. Thank you, Laura. So here we are with Nefertiti. This piece is inspired by a brain coral, and it's a female brain coral, spawning. And it is a female because I did research on their spawning. They spawn a broadcast spawning. They spawn 1 time a year. They produce these eggs at the full moon, either at the end of July or early August. And this year, it was our full moon fell on August 3rd, and it's a day that we went in to document the show and my work with my collaborator, Rich Retzinger, who's a cinematographer. But 1 time a year it spawns, and it's only when the moon is full, and it knows when the spectrum of light is at this perfect point under the water, that 1 time a year. This is the most complex piece I've made to date, and it got the name Nefertiti. That's its nickname, actually, because Nefertiti, we all know, is a female pharaoh, and the only female pharaoh that ruled in Egypt. It was the most successful ruling time in the history of Egypt when she was the pharaoh. And the piece kind of took on this look, and it has a profile of Nefertiti, and Nefertiti means the beautiful woman has come. Seemed like a very perfect name for a spawning coral. Okay. Here's a few detailed shots of her. It's done completely inside and out, and there's one egg. These balls are the eggs, her spawning. And what's kind of cool is brain coral. We know they have labyrinth all over, you know, the brain, what looks like brain. But one thing you might not know is all those cool ridges open up at night and they become alive. And I put her in her most lively state and spreading, you know, launching her eggs out into the sea. And there's one egg on the bottom and her base, at the base of her spine, so to speak, that is 24 karat gold leaf. So now we're going to look at the installation that's on a 33 by 15 foot wall. This is just a few seconds at the beginning. We're looking at Earth as the Apollo 17 astronaut saw it. There's a sound of space. There's a heartbeat. And the work is to look at our planet. This is our home. We want to look at the big picture. This work was so important and so critical before COVID, but then with COVID, it's even more, 100 times more important now for us to think interdependently, which is the focus of my practice. But here we are connected to everything, each other, and to all life on our planet. So we're looking at the marine Milky Way, beyond the planet, and the work in the oceans. And now we're going to take a look at another, little brief look at another sequence. This is a humpback whale singing. It happens to be a mother and a calf. So we're diving into the ocean. I want you to feel really a part of this environment that makes our life possible on this planet. These are microorganisms that I've done technically pretty accurately. They're running along the ocean currents above Antarctica and around Africa in this installation. So now we're going to look at another little clip. So because these microorganisms are one cell, well, what's so amazing, for millions and millions, hundreds of millions of years, they've been supporting all life on the planet. What we're looking at is the plankton. When they're one cell, it's just hard to grab that. You can only see them in a microscope, and they bloom because they house plankton. So when they bloom in the spring, it's actually been videoed from satellite, so they're macro. But if you think about if one cell organisms can support an entire planet with providing more than 50% of our oxygen, just imagine what we could do if we were engaged and working together. This is a legend. So this is the graphic that came from the design that I laid out, and Rich translated it digitally for me, but there's a description. This is in the exhibit, but every piece is numbered, and there are like 53 pieces on the wall, and you can see what species they are. And anytime, here's Rich and I together. We can go back to that. Rich is a cinematographer, a dear friend of mine that we collaborated on this installation. So obviously I did all the ceramic work, but I had a vision, and because Laura came to me and invited me to be in the show, and it was honoring Earth Day, I really wanted to present the whole big picture and Earth, because that image that the astronauts captured in '72 became the symbol for Earth Day, which was April 22nd. Yeah. Let's see what else we got. Then I have a line of tableware, and the museum has it in the gift shop. So when you visit, I hope that you can take a look in the gift shop, because Diane Burko has some books, and Janet Filomeno, I think, as well. There's some beautiful cards and drawings that you get from Emily Brown, and my tableware. So I have my primary producer line. So these are the microorganisms of our ocean that are making our life possible, and also my petroglyphs. And the petroglyphs that I did for the Michener custom they're all Pennsylvania petroglyphs. So most of them are along the Susquehanna River. Yeah.
Amazing. Thank you, Margarita. And you know, as you just saw, it's really the work in the exhibition is just remarkable. I hope you all can come out and visit. And Margarita's tableware is just so beautiful too. So, and I did see one of the questions in the chat. There's not, unfortunately, a catalog for the exhibition, but as Margarita said, there are some books by other artists that are available in the gift shop too for catalogs or past exhibitions.
One thing, the legend that we showed, I have, if you're interested to get an archival print of the legend, I have it posted on my Instagram. You can just reach out or email me, and also posters too of that legend. So, but we all make a difference. Even the littlest things make a difference. So it can be very overwhelming right now, and dealing our environment and the social unrest. It's really opening things up for greater change, but it's like labor pains right now, but it's all for a better future for us. And we have to really think about making really strong changes right now, because it's really important, because our lives do depend on it. And but eliminating plastic in any way that you can, and just reusing things, recycling. Just reach out to me if you have any questions. I'd be happy to share more in any other time.
Thank you both so much. There are a lot of wonderful comments, beautifully curated, amazing work, sublime, Suzanne Kahn said, which is a great adjective. Thank you both for sharing that exhibition. And next we're going to move right along to Da Vinci Art Alliance, founded by a collective of immigrant artists and artisans working in South Philadelphia in the building that they own today. Their brand new exhibition, Craft, showcases contemporary work from the region, and here to talk about the show is Executive Director Jared Markman with the exhibition juror Thora Jacobson, who incidentally was one of Craft Now's founding board members. Thank you both so much for being here tonight.
Thank you so much, Layla. Thank you for having us. Can everyone hear me okay? Yeah? Awesome. Well, my name is Jared. I'm the Executive Director of Da Vinci Art Alliance. We are thrilled to be here this evening to share one of our current exhibitions with you. I'm going to go ahead and start sharing my screen. Let's see, share screen. Awesome. Okay, and what we should be on right now is just our current exhibitions page on our website. We have a series of exhibitions up at our South Philly row home location. We're located right across from Fleischer Art Memorial, if you're familiar with that. We're right adjacent to their parking lot and have been in this building since 1966. We would love to welcome you to see one of our exhibitions. The two we have up right now are Craft and Philadelphia Fabulist. And then at home, you can experience Colors of Hope anytime in our virtual Gallery X. But tonight, we're going to dive a little bit deeper into Craft. And we're going to pop over here to our 3D tour. So this is just inside of our space. We have a gallery upstairs. And then this is our first floor exhibition space. And we're going to walk on in. And I figured we would just take a quick peek around, and then I would love to introduce Thora Jacobson to talk about some of the work in the exhibition and some of the prominent themes that she found upon jurying. So Thora, maybe this is a good point where I can turn it over to you, and then I could sort of follow along in the physical space. Does that sound all right? Maybe she's muted. Oh, she's muted. I can see it.
Now, hello.
There we go.
So this is a juried exhibition. It's not a curated exhibition.
Okay.
It is juried in the sense that when the prospectus went out for the show, I realized that I know a fair amount about craft work in Philadelphia, having worked at the Philadelphia Art Alliance for a while, and actually having worked at Fleischer too. The issue was that I really didn't know, ironically, much about art in wood. But now that I am a board member of the Center for Art in Wood, I wanted to both learn a little bit more about those artists and to feature them. So I think there are 5 or 6 pieces in this show, which is 30 pieces, 30 works. And what turned out to be a wonderful surprise for me. And I think, Jared, you're rather fond of them too.
Yes. I told Thora that this was my coming out celebration of my love for wood. I've had this recent discovery, so thank you all for being here for that. We have Janine Wang on the left, Cubes by Nick Flaherty, and Ray Yellow, which is the bench. It's the form of a stingray. And it has this beautiful band of yellow around the outside. We have a fair amount of fiber work, including the work by Catherine Pennepacker on the right. It is a prayer rug for Narcan, and she has this wonderful little gesture that on the right-hand side, just below the figure, the prayer rug is an envelope with the Narcan dosage there. So, and it is made in her traditional way. She teaches at a center in Kensington. Catherine, maybe you want to do something that we can share on the chat too, to tell us a little bit about that. But she usually works with people who have been dealt with addiction, and they make something every day, and it's usually this very small thing, and they join themselves together, and they join them, and they put them all together at the end of the day, so that this process is a very collegial one. And the other artist, yes, Alyssa Topol, these are all Philadelphia artists in this exhibition. And where was I? I was about to talk, Do you want to go to Hooked on Pain?
I'm just trying to figure out which one we were. This is the Hooked on Pain by Suzanne Kahn, which is another one which falls into the category of social practice. Suzanne does production work in her studio at Macon Studios in Kensington. Actually, both Suzanne and Catherine have their studios their working studios and their practice studios in Kensington. And in the small section in the center, where you see the smaller works, you can also see that there's a small bench in the middle of the room that lets you sit and contemplate those smaller things that really require that you approach them a little bit more carefully. And among the things that you can approach more carefully on that same wall is Elise Bernstein's South Philly pretzel, adorned with Swarovski crystals, as only they should be. So, and the only thing I can say about this presentation, it's wonderful, but this is the kind of show by virtue of, by virtue of the scale of the things, you need to come down to 7th and Catherine and see the show. When's the last date, Jared?
So the show is open. I'm just going to actually pull this up to show everyone as well. The show is open by appointment, which is really easy to make. You can email info@davinciartalliance.org or give us a call. It runs September 4th through September 19th. And on our webpage here, you can see some more detailed shots of the work as well, which of course the 3D tour does not fully illuminate. But the 3D tour does give you that sense of all the works coming together.
And could you turn just to the left a little bit, and so that you can see Gary Spilka's quilted piece? which is quite spectacular. It's a little bit smaller than some of her current work, but this is a new piece. And Gary's work is endlessly inventive. She has this capacity, kind of like, well, some composers who can take a particular kind of thing and just run with it. And that's always been my love about Gary's work. You can just, you know, it sort of looks the same, and then you say, oh no, but it's a little bit different. I need to see it again. And this is Colin, I think. Next to her is the other wood artist, Colin Pizzano, which, for those of you who are fans of Nakashima, you will recognize the ways of holding checks together in wood, but they're called Band-Aids. And all the more wonderful for that. Do you want to, Jared, do you want to talk a little bit about Da Vinci Fest, since that's coming up for you?
Sure, I'm always happy to plug something. Da Vinci Art Alliance is putting on our new community art festival that debuts October 22nd through 29th. That is all about the intersection of the art and sciences and how that also intersects with community building. And you can find more about that on our website as well under Da Vinci Fest right here. And we've also been honoring everyday geniuses in our community as well in that same initiative.
Can we just close with, take us down to the chuppah, to the wedding canopy? There, yeah. I have to say, this was one of the first pieces that I juried into the show. And it's, you know, and it's very traditional. It's a wedding canopy, or otherwise known as a chuppah. And it's done with ribbons that are intended to look like glass. And I just have to say that I think that I think if I were going to be married in a Jewish wedding ceremony, I would love to be married under that chuppah. It's so beautiful.
Thank you, Thora. And as Thora said, please do make an appointment to come by. The tour here does not do justice to the beauty and heart and intricacy of this work. So we hope to see you in person as well. And you can also explore on your own through our website.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you both so much. I can appreciate how much work it must have been to get that 3D tour put together. So congratulations on a successful digital and in-person opening. While we are transitioning to our next speaker, I want to let you know that our annual symposium is scheduled to take place on October 30 and November 6th. So please save the date. This symposium, entitled Cultures of Making, is going to examine the many ways community activism, research, and connection develop out of craft practices in the neighborhoods of Philadelphia, all the way over to the Santa Clara Pueblo and beyond. Our keynote speakers include Vashti Dubois, the executive director of the Colored Girls Museum, and Hinda Mandel, editor of the recent publication Crafting Dissent. And given the timing of this symposium, which is going to bookend the election, every year our symposium falls around the election because we schedule it in conjunction with the Philadelphia Museum of Art Contemporary Craft Show. But I suspect this year is going to be especially interesting and an important time for us to come together. So with that, I am introducing and congratulating Jennifer Zwilling on the recent opening of the Clay Studios exhibition, 100 Years, 100 Women, which commemorates the 100th anniversary of the ratification of the 19th Amendment, which of course gave women in the United States the right to vote. Jen has been instrumental in helping us put together this symposium, and I thank her for being here tonight and sharing her work.
Thanks, Layla, and thanks always for putting together this wonderful program and for your poise, as always, and eloquence. I'm going to share my screen first quickly to show you all. I know they say never apologize, but I'm going to apologize because Da Vinci's Matterport skills are obviously much better than mine. I just figured out how to use this program, so I'm hoping to get better at it. But just so you have a quick sense of being in our gallery in Old City, here's a little bit of a walk around. See, I haven't quite figured it out yet. It will improve, I promise. And of course, being in this gallery space virtually, I just want to remind everyone that in about 1 year, we will be opening our new building in South Kensington. So keep your eyes open for that. We're very excited. We, even within the COVID situation, we had about a 3-month delay due to the regular shutdown, but construction began in June. So we're on schedule to open the building in August of next year. Stop that share and start the other. Thanks for inviting me to talk today. I want to start out just by saying that, of course, we thought about this exhibition in conjunction with the centennial of the 19th Amendment being ratified on August 18th, 1920. And with the acknowledgement of the fact that we still had a lot of work to do in 1920 when that happened, and we still have a lot of work to do to really gain equality for all of our citizens. At the time, most women in the US were given the right to vote. Women of Chinese descent were barred from voting because they were in fact barred from citizenship due to an 1882 Exclusion Act. Native American women were not given the right, or men were given the right to vote until 1924. And many African Americans were not able to vote due to just inherent racism that was in place at the time. And it was not until the 1965 Voting Rights Act that was, at least on the books, erased. But of course, we know that that fight is still not over. So we, just as Margarita was talking about the incredible importance of us paying attention to the oceans and the life on the planet, we also need to make sure that we're paying attention to these very important social justice issues that we are thinking about these days, and as we should always be. So just as a walk around the gallery to give you a slightly clearer view than my Matterport insight, since that was a little bit sketchy, I'll give you some close-ups in a few moments, but here we have Sid Carpenter's piece in the foreground with some of our amazing works on the wall. I happen to be a lover of the historic, so I'll just give you a little sneak peek at my plate wall up there in my own house. And so you can imagine that I was having a lot of fun in the gallery hanging plates in the same way. But it was really fun to see all of the people who were inspiring to the artists. So we invited 50 artists to make 2 plates each that would celebrate women who were inspiring to them. And they could be historical figures, they could be personal heroes, anyone that they were interested in. We invited the artists to have any perspective on that 1920 centennial. We invited people to push back against that as a celebration. We invited people to expand the boundaries of what it means to be a woman in terms of gender identity, and we got some really exciting and wonderful responses to the prompt. I was really pleased to hear as a curator that some of the artists in the exhibition had been kind of in a slump because of COVID. They hadn't had access to their studios, and this small assignment that was inspiring to them is what kind of lifted them out of that and allowed them to move forward. So there's nothing more gratifying than the concept of an exhibition being really powerful to an artist, and then in turn having the visitors have that great impact as well. So here we are as our little walk around the gallery. Sid Carpenter, as I said, offered 2 pieces that were actually not inspired by very specific women, but by the women in the South who she went to visit when she was doing research on her ancestors, but also all of the other African Americans that she encountered who were farm owners, who were working the land and really making homes there on the farms in the South. And so she dedicated her 2 plates to those women who were making home places out of their farms. She was one of several artists who didn't follow my request that they should be able to be hung on the wall, but when Sid Carpenter gives you a masterpiece, you don't argue with her, so that was okay. Jennifer Ling-Dacek is an artist of Chinese American descent, and she lives in Texas. She chose 2 women who she inscribed their names onto her plates. She used platters, thinking of the idea of service, because both of these women were social activists who were engaged in service to our society. And what you see on the right, I turned the plate a little so you could see that those are actually hairs that she inserted into holes, and those holes are what's forming the names of these women, Mabel Ping Lee Howe and Grace Lee Boggs. So those 2, and when you're in that space with real human hair, it definitely has, brings you kind of right to that moment of the importance of these humans. Charlotte Hose is an artist from the United Kingdom. She lives in London, and she chose 2 women who are young, in their 30s activists. Carola Rackete is a sea captain. She's one of the few female sea captains in the world, and she rescued immigrants from the Mediterranean Sea and docked illegally in Italy because she had 40 immigrants on board who were suffering, and she felt that that was the right thing to do. So she was actually arrested when she docked in Italy and went on to fight that charge. Mac McCusker is a transgender artist who chose 2 transgender women to celebrate, both of whom were involved with the Stonewall revolt in New York City. That's considered the beginning of the gay rights movement. And Sue Terrell is an artist who works in Montana, and she chose Evelyn Cameron, who is a photographer from the 19th century who captured women in different spaces than they usually existed in at that time. And she was very well known for wearing split skirts. She was actually the first woman in her town to wear that and claim that it was much better to ride a horse that way. And so she was quite a revolutionary herself. And then Sue Terrell makes these amazingly beautiful surface decorated plates, as you can see. So that is a taste of the show, and I'm not going to talk too much longer because I really want everyone to come into the clay studio or go to our website. All of the plates are there for you to see. Each of the artists has written a really beautiful response celebrating their women. So looking around the show with the gallery guide or looking through the website and reading those responses is quite a moving experience when you walk into that gallery and you're surrounded by 100 women who are meaningful to these artists in different ways. It's definitely quite a thrill. So I hope you'll all come and join us. There you go. Layla?
Sorry, I had to unmute myself. Thank you so much, Jen. The show looks absolutely gorgeous, and I cannot wait to have a very safe and social distance visit. Any of you that have been following Craft Now this summer will know that we have been working very closely with our friends Andrew Dahlgren and Heather Holliday to help us identify the challenges of developing a craft career and what type of support is needed for our makers in Philadelphia. They are here tonight to share some of their findings of the recently completed craft business survey. This has led to many new insights about the current state of our artisan community and how we can continue to elevate our craft capital. So I think Heather is going to be starting the presentation.
Yes. Hi guys. Really excited to kind of give you an overview, and then Andrew's going to jump in and kind of share some of the findings. So I'm going to share my screen. So we all know that we have an incredibly robust and amazing craft community here in Philadelphia, but something that we've never done is kind of quantify the community, see who's making, see what kind of support they need, and who is offering support, and where there might be some gaps. So in their 6th year, Craft Now really saw the importance of this and kind of dove right in. So the objectives were to get a representative sample of Philadelphia through a survey, see who's making in Philly, identify the needs, and then summarize kind of what other American cities are doing to provide support to their artisan communities. Oops. Okay. Sorry. Both Craft Now and Andrew and I see the power behind the craft economy. And we all really believe that the time is now to invest more in this community. We want makers to be able to make a sustainable life for themselves, to support their family and their work moving forward. We want there to be equal representation of the artisan community, and ultimately we want to help build an equitable creative economy. Some characteristics of artisanal manufacturers that our research definitely supported. These craft manufacturers combine production, design, business, training. They employ workers. They have these diverse sets of talents that they use in all different ways. They learn as they go. They come from different backgrounds. They work in small batches, small runs. They're constantly focused on innovation. Many have triple bottom line business models, which means that it's not just about selling profit, it's about the impact on society that their business will have. They depend on diverse markets. And you know, with COVID, everyone is having different challenges that, that they haven't experienced before, so the need is even greater. Ultimately, what we discovered was that even though there's this big movement towards reimagining locally owned, this relationship-based economy, and expanding opportunities for local ownership, we can't do it alone. So the artists need our help, and we're going to have to make these changes and support this community together.
All right, thanks, Heather. And so in order to learn more about the artisan community, as we were prompted, we completed an online survey, group discussions, and individual interviews. The goal was to really uncover insights about individual businesses, what their struggles are, and what their goals are. And we wanted to learn about the context in which the artisan community works to better understand what may be impacting the community as a whole versus individual businesses or groups of businesses. Next slide. Heading into the project, we knew that how people identify themselves in professional settings has a big impact on their work. And we know that how an artisan chooses to label themselves and their work can often impact who their customers are. It influences what networks they build and can frame what types of support services seem right to them. And in our research, we allowed everyone to identify themselves as they wanted. And ultimately, when we asked people through the survey, how do you identify yourself professionally, we found these titles most often used. And in some cases, you know, we allowed people to pick more than one identifier. So we saw all sorts of different combinations, but what was surprising to me as a researcher was how many people actually chose to use business owner. We thought going into this project, people might shy away from that phrase, but it turns out people are really embracing that. Next slide. We captured demographic information as well for two reasons, to help us determine how and where the research may be lacking, as well as to get insights about possible barriers to existing and future resources. And while we did uncover lots of insights from across the geographic region, we do think we weren't able to fully capture representative voices from the Black, Indigenous, and people of color communities, which we actually took to be an important aspect and an issue to uncover more about in the future. Next slide. We also wanted to learn more about how business owners and artisans and craftspeople actually just describe their practice. So we were able to capture insights about number of employees, sources of sales, maturity of business development. What wasn't surprising is that we found that the majority of artisan businesses are 1 to kind of 3-person companies, because we know a lot about kind of the communities of people. They tend to be independent operators. What was a bit surprising was that over 50% of the responders said that their biggest source of sales is direct to consumers. I think going into the project, there was kind of an expectation that it would be a little bit more distributed between wholesale, direct to consumer, and even potential hybrids. Next slide. We also are thinking into the future and how to better support people moving forward. And so looking more at what could be done to help artisan businesses, responders shared with us that they are in need of help with marketing, sales, as well as financial planning of their businesses. Ultimately, you know, a lot of times artisan businesses are started by people who are really passionate about their craft and making. And so it's not so surprising that they need help in the more maybe technical aspects of business development. Individuals also shared that they are most looking for ways to gain access to more opportunities, to connect with peers, and to find more support services and access to markets. Next slide. So when we kind of took all these little pieces of information and insights and took a step back, we looked at how all these insights could uncover what research told us about the shared context that is impacting the community as a whole, as well as large segments of the community. And so this context that we kind of found includes things like there's difficulty within the artisan community of being seen as legitimate to other support services, as well as other parts of the small business world. We find that there's a lack of representation and equal access to opportunity. We find that there's siloed sectors and networks. So if the artisan community is kind of cut off from the maker community, which is kind of cut off from the craft community and so on. And we find that there's ongoing disconnections. And some of those disconnections were made worse by COVID-19, but we were able to uncover that there were disconnections even prior to that. Next slide. Also digging deeper, kind of looking more on the ground and looking at groups of business owners, we found that different business owners struggle to access key business resources. So every business we know needs access to markets, access to capital, as well as access to business management skills in real estate, for example. And so in our findings and in our conversations, you know, we found most often that artisans are asking first and foremost for help finding more customers and help selling more of their work, as well as they're asking for a lot of help advocating for their work, for their business, for their community, for their practice, and basically trying to help tell the story of why craft and making and artisanship is important. And that tends to be a barrier to a lot of business development and business growth. Next slide. So that was a very, very quick and very brief kind of peek into what Heather, myself, and Craft Now has been up to for the past 4 months. And in a lot of ways, this is a very, very multi-year project. And I just want to thank, Heather and I want to thank, you know, Craft Now for allowing us to kind of be part of this project, as well as supporting this kind of deeper dive into the community. And that's it.
Thank you both so much. It has been really wonderful to work with Andrew and Heather. They have helped open my eyes to a whole new language surrounding economic development. And we're going to be reviewing all of the material that they've provided and finding out what some of the next steps are going to be. So stay tuned. Thank you, Andrew and Heather. You put together so much information above and beyond what we even expected. I want to thank all of you for joining us tonight. It was an incredible presentation. A lot of material was covered, very diverse subject matter, really some of the most, I think, important and incredible work happening in the city, especially as it comes to craft and making. I'm going to give a plug for a program I'm doing tomorrow night at the Center for Art and Wood. I am doing an object lesson, which I just put in the chat. They are requesting RSVPs, and Nava generously invited me to select an object from the collection. And the goal is, even if you aren't a scholar in wood art, which I would never claim to be, you can find a way to find narrative and share a story about yourself, have a personal connection with any kind of collection, museum collection that you visit. So I'm really excited about that. I hope you will consider making a donation to Craft Now. If you visit our website, it's the support tab. You can do so very easily and electronically. And be sure to follow us on social media at Craft Now PHL. And with that, I would like to invite all of you to unmute yourself and say hello, and ask any questions you like to any of our presenters that are still here with us. I see so many friendly faces, and I'm looking forward to hearing from all of you. Thank you so much for being here tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you, Layla.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Layla.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Kimberly, can you tell us why your gallery is called Galerie Marie?
It's actually named for my mother, and I have her picture on the front door. She always wanted me to have a gallery, and I told her it was way too much work. And I moved to Collingswood, and it actually was complete happenstance. I did not intend to have a gallery. I was going to have my studio downstairs and work upstairs and live upstairs. And the local zoning board had different ideas. So because I'm in the central business district, they said, no, open active retail. So I have a gallery.
Well, good.
Such
good
a
job,
beautiful
your mother.
picture.
Yeah, I thought it might. She looks like you. Another
was-
inspiring woman. Cool.
I see Nava.
Hi, Nava. Yes, what are you drinking, Nava?
Hi, everyone. This was so fun, and I'm sitting outside because it's the end of summer and super warm and like being in a bath, which is my favorite.
Your drink is blue. A sauna.
And my drink is blue, and it has an umbrella in it. This is a house drink. I don't know. You have to come over in order. But it's really yummy, and it's very festive. And I'm so excited about all the shows that were discussed tonight. I am so inspired. I can't think of a better city to celebrate art and craft and the amazing makers here. It's so moving and incredibly inspiring. And thank you, everyone, for sharing all of your work today. It's amazing. I can't wait to get out to Doylestown too to see the show.
Yeah, thanks for showing up here.
Where else would you? I'm here.
My drink was purple, but it's gone now. So
That's a beautiful glass. I have to commend your stemware.
yeah, Cocktail Sisters.
I had an interesting James Michener story with Albert Barnes, because I got a call saying that Michener and Barnes had a relationship that wasn't quite that cordial.
Oh.
And so in the archives, there were two letters in particular, and one from Michener said that he wanted to bring his wife to the foundation to see the collection, and that he had borrowed some old clothes and snuck into the gallery pretending to be a plumber. And Barnes was too stupid to realize it. And he went on with some more insults, and he says, and what do you use for toilet paper, old man? Barbed wire. So Barnes wrote it back and said, anyone dumb enough to marry you doesn't need to be in the gallery because she won't know what she's seeing. I checked the attendance records, and you didn't sneak in here, so you're lying. And barbed wire when I... Yeah.
Wow. That's great. Kimberly, I actually worked at the Barnes Foundation before I joined the Michener last year, and I didn't know about that connection, so I'm a little embarrassed. But I'm not surprised that Barnes had a
yeah, there's a lot
an aggressive correspondence with Michener. Barnes is, as you know, is known for
Aggressive correspondence with everybody.
So here's where the real program begins. Everyone that
Apparently, we gossip about Albert Barnes and James Michener.
This is very educational.
Movie.
Usually Kimberly has a joke for us, though. Do you have a joke today?
Yeah, I have to think if I can think of one that's clean.
There's only a few of us left.
Oh my goodness. Oh no, that's a political joke. I shouldn't tell that one. Well, maybe I can tell a political joke.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
So the devil decided to invite some people down to see what hell was like. So, you know, they needed to be inspired to not go there or enjoy the visit. And so he decided to invite the Queen of England. And he thought he'd invite Barack Obama and Donald Trump. And so they're taking a tour of hell, and the devil's showing them all the pits they would burn in and the torturing that's going on. And the Queen said, "Oh, my dear gentlemen, may I make a phone call? I want to call people and tell them how horrible it is." He said, "Well, see that red phone over there? You can actually call up on that, but you have to pay for the call." She said, "I'm very happy to pay for the call, but I must warn them. I have to." And so she goes over and she makes the phone call and she tells him how horrible hell is. And she comes back and the devil says, "Well, that'll be $5 for that call." And she said, "Oh, very well." And she pays it. And they keep walking through, and Obama says, "You know, Mr. Devil, I really need to call the girls and Michelle and tell them how horrible it is down here. Can I use your phone?" And the devil said, "Of course." So he goes over and he calls Michelle and the girls and tells them how terrible hell is. And he comes back, he says, "What do I owe you?" He said, "Well, for you, it's going to be $10. He said, "All right, that works." So he pays it. And they continue to walk through, and Donald Trump is shuffling along, and he says, "I'd like to make a call too." The devil said, "Of course." And so he calls his family, wife, his daughter, his son-in-law, and all of them. And Don Jr. gets him on the phone and has these long conversations. And when he finished, he came over, he says, "Well, I guess you want me to pay you. What's it going to cost?" And the devil said, "Oh, it'll be 25 cents. And the Queen and Obama said, "Why is his call only 25 cents? He said, "Well, it was local."
I didn't see it coming. Good job.
So true. So true.
So I should tell you all too, one of the other projects that I'm working on right now is a national digital exhibition called Art Against Racism. And it is based out of Princeton, but there are people working on it all over the country. It's a digital exhibition of protest art designed to inspire people and encourage them to get the vote out for November 3rd. They're taking you can sign up to, actually we're using a platform called Cinebody, which Rutgers, New Brunswick, volunteer gave us to use for free. And so you can upload your artwork. It can be something finished, it could be something in process. You can upload up to, I think, 4 or 5 sort of 10-minute sections of video, or you can just, take a video still shot of something, upload it, it's free. And all of these are going to be mounted into an digital exhibition that'll be up through inauguration, because as we all know, the work of this getting a country back on track is not going to end on election day. And hopefully we'll be able to be successful in this. But it's Art Against Racism, and if you go online, you'll be able to find it. Enter, encourage other people, spread the word. It's really a very interesting process. Doesn't have to be professional artists. It can be community people, it can also be performance, spoken word, music. It'll take any and all of those mediums. So I encourage you to participate. It's going to be a lot of fun.
I found it and put the link in the chat.
Great. Thank you.
Thanks, Kimberly.
Sure.
I guess I'll just, since we're at the end, I'll plug the, am I allowed to plug the mud ball? September 17th is the Clay Studios fundraiser, and it's going to be very different this year, but it's going to be fun. Jennifer Martin and I are hosting it, and it's about a 1 hour long Zoom. If you buy tickets, you get a box of goodies, including cocktails. etc. So go on our website and sign up to be part of the night. There's lots of great stuff to bid on, and we are working really hard. We're dedicated to not laying off any of our staff. We really want to support our community and the important work that we're doing. So any help that you would like to offer is welcome.
Great.
If I could just say something, since we're at the end, I want to just introduce myself to you guys who don't know me and tell you a little bit about the work I'm doing. So my name is Jocelyn Moore. My background is in selling art, fine art, and antiques, most recently at Freeman's Auction, so I may have met some of you there. I was the head of the client services department for about 2 or 3 years. And so after being on the seller side, I decided to go to the buyer side and was working a lot with consignments and then even dipping into creative direction a bit there. And it just became kind of a circus where I was seeing it all, but I wanted to do even more. So I left Freeman's in December after they moved and decided to go off on my own. And so I'm now selling my own work along with antiques and bits that I find. So Kimberly, your store is quite inspiring for another young antique lover like myself. But something else that's become quite important to me as I've been able to kind of be on both sides is finding a way for young, or sort of not necessarily young, but emerging artists, especially artists of color, to be able to get fair market value for their work. And so I'm starting to develop ways to do that, whether it's kind of just using my eye and the experience that I've gotten to be able to get work from other local artists and sell it on my own through my own site, or I will sometimes curate pop-ups with other local vendors and put their work in that show, and that way they're able to see the profit. I feel like I really care about the future of the art world now, seeing, the changes we're going through and all of this, and I want it to keep going and I want it to flourish. So that's my main goal right now is to help emergence and rising artists.
Great.
Yeah, so
Cool. A website
I'll get in,
you could share with us?
Yeah, I'll get into the chat and share that with you. And yeah, I think the main goal of all of it really is kind of like Heather was saying earlier, to create, an equitable craft environment, an art environment, so that, people feel like they can make and we can stand, on our own as a community. I just feel like I've really been at both ends, being able to understand collecting, but also selling as an emerging artist. And they're very different worlds.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so I'd be happy to chat with any of you about the work that I'm doing, and hope that you will get involved and we can, make this a really interesting new collective experience after we're able to meet in person again.
Soon
But
we
time digitally.
Jocelyn, can you share a link to either your Instagram or your website or something?
Yeah, okay. Absolutely. So I'm putting my email in the chat right now. I'm so glad so many of you are still here.
We just like to hang out.
Me too.
You don't get the chance to.
It looks like it's kind of rainy outside too, huh?
It's supposed to be. They're talking about tornadoes and hail and all kinds of stuff.
Well, at the very least, the weather has been exciting.
Exciting. That's one way.
Yeah. That's one way.
Right. Phoenix, they were getting 117 today.
Wow.
Yeah, we don't have to worry about that.
I will say that the crazy weather in the past couple of weeks has shown me how little I know about geography and where the weather was going to be the worst.
That's one way to learn, that's for sure. Yeah, where are the fires today?
Right, exactly. Right, so I've shared some of this, and I definitely have met some of you before, but it's good to re-meet each other.
Yeah, and come visit the gallery. I'm almost always here on Sundays from 11 to 5, and usually during the week, especially during the lockdown. I don't go too far, so I'm always around here somewhere.
Okay, yeah, I know it looks like the versatility in your shop is endless.
There's a lot of surprises here. And the best part of it is when someone comes in and is buying their first piece of artwork. I remember a young woman came in a few years ago, and she walked in so excitedly. She had her fists clenched at her sides, and she sort of rushed up to the register and was like, "I'm here to buy a painting." I was like, "Great, which one?" She's right over there. I said, "Well, just go get it." And she went over to, "I can just take it down." I said, "Yeah, you can take it down." And she stood there, she was so excited, she kept shaking her hands. And she, you know, she paid for this. I said, "Let me wrap it up for you and give you information on the artist." And she was just so excited. And that's when you know it's really worthwhile, because, you know, I worked in the museum field for 25 years, and I've seen a whole breadth of approaches that our institutions take when they talk about serving community. And I think far too many of them don't take that seriously. They say it, but they really don't mean it. And so for me, I think it's particularly here to try to bridge that gap, because, you know, art enriches your life, and people shouldn't feel as though it's not for them because they go into an environment that doesn't feel friendly or welcoming or easy or alien. The experience should feel like it's fun and engaging. And when they get started, they want to do more. So a large part of my customers here are people that are collecting for the first time, and some have become quite proficient in it and come back a lot. There's Collingswood Cash. The city gives out about $60,000 a year in free money, and they split it up this year. So there was some in July to encourage people to come back down and shop. The next one will be Saturday before Thanksgiving. You come to the Borough Hall. People usually line up pretty early, and for every $50 of Collingswood Cash you buy, you get $70 worth of spending power. You can buy up to $400 worth. So for $400, you get $560. And first come, first serve.
That's a really cool idea.
Stores in Collingswood, any of the restaurants. But a lot of my customers will get in the Collingswood Cash line, and when they get their money, they come back here and take their stuff out of layaway. So I always cash whenever they do their sale. But it's a great, you know, you don't have to be a resident, you just have to come over and get it. I've even had some people that got in line twice because they didn't say you couldn't. So, you know, they went and got it, really cashed in.
That's great.
It's a great way to encourage business here. I have to give it to the local community with, you know, the 50-cent parking, and they're building a new parking garage here. So there's more, the farmer's market, and with the restaurant. I think there's 8 restaurants within a block of where I am. So, you know, it's really a great town to just come and hang out, and it's so close to Philly. I encourage everybody, if you haven't been here, come on over.
Wow, that's great.
I do love Collingswood. Is it storming over?
Passyunk Avenue and Galerie Marie.
Yeah, I'm right. Actually, Collins Avenue, Haddon Avenue, near the corner. Sabrina's restaurant's across the street. A lot of people know Sabrina's they have several locations in Philly, but they're in an old Woolworths building across the street from me. So I'm easy to.
Thank you, everybody. I'm going to jump off. It was so awesome to see all of you and see all of your amazing presentations. We've raised the bar again tonight, I think, for what we can do as a group virtually with this platform. So let's do it again next month.
Thank you.
Thank you. And see you tomorrow. Yeah.
See you tomorrow.
I'm excited, Nava. Thank you so much.
We're so excited too.
Bye now.
Bye, everybody.
Happy Thursday.